Hi, my name's Linda Martin. I thought I'd take a few minutes out today just to show you the cold porcelain paste that I like to use. This is a lovely paste. It's very, very soft to work with. As you can see here, I don't need to push hard, I just need to gently squeeze, turn the paste over and over. Now the way that this works is that it's air drying. So what we do is initially we put a little squeeze of white paint into the basic paste. Now this paste will take any kind of paint, acrylics, oils, although oils can be a wee bit messy. So what I'm going to do is just use a little bit of the matte white paint. This is the paint that I normally would use to colour my eggs with. I'm just going to work that over and over, just to work the paint through the paste. Now what this does is it actually provides a good base for the other colours to permeate through the paste, so that when you actually have your finished piece of work, the colour is going all the way through the paste and you're going to get a good solid colour. If you leave this in the natural finish, what happens is that it dries to quite an unpleasant off-white colour. So always work the white through. Even if you're going to colour your flowers, if you're making flowers, even if you're going to colour these afterwards, just work the white paint through first. So that's now done. Let's set that to one side. Now because this is air drying, you must make sure that this is kept perfectly airtight, because the minute that the air gets to it, it will start to dry out. So I'm going to stick that to one side in a plastic bag. When you store this, you don't keep it in the refrigerator in case condensation builds up. You must make sure it's very, very tightly wrapped. So then we'll take a small piece and we'll just flatten that out slightly. Now I've put a little sample of some paint in here. And what I'm going to do is just dip the paste into the paint, and then again I'm going to work that through the paste. And you can see that the colour is now starting to work its way through the paste. If you need a little more, just add some more to it. I always start with just a small amount of the colour, just in case it's too intense. I remember one time I was mixing up some blue paste and I got a little bit heavy-handed with the paint. So if anybody wants about 10 kilos of blue paste, I have it still. And there we go. You can see that's now worked through the paste nicely. Sometimes you'll find that the paste is a little bit on the sticky side, and if that's the case you can either leave it, just flatten it out slightly so that the air gets to it a little bit, and just set that to one side until it's got to the point where the tackiness has just eased a little bit. You can also use cornstarch, corn flour, or talcum powder even, and that will just allow you then to work with the paste a little bit more easily, especially if you're working with cutters. You can always flour your cutters. So let's set that to one side, and here's a little piece which I allowed to dry out a bit more. So I'll show you how to make a little rose. I'll take a small piece of the paste. Now it's always easier when you're showing somebody how to do something if you work with a larger piece initially. So we're going to make a little sausage shape, like so. We're going to squeeze that out. It's always best to practice first with something that's larger than the actual size that you want it to be. That allows you to work out exactly what technique you're using. So that is now been extended. I'm going to then roll from one end, and you can see that I'm rolling slightly downwards so that you get that little spiral. You can see that. Okay, so that's going to be the centre of my rose. I then take another piece of paste I'm going to have a little ball like this, and then I'm going to squash that. That is to create one of the petals. Now when you're working with the paste, try to get it as fine, as thin as you can, because that gives you a more delicate looking end product. So now I'm going to take my centre and I'm going to lay that onto the petal, curl it round, and as I curl it round I just pinch it gently and just roll it between my finger and thumb just to take the excess paste downwards, because that can always be removed afterwards. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to just gently curl the flower to give it a little bit of life. You can see how that petal is now curling over. So we'll do that again with another petal on the other side. So again, you take your small piece of paste and you squeeze that flat again. This doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You look at flowers and all of the petals are the basic same shape, but they're all that little bit different. So that's that one. Now we take our initial piece and we're going to lay that in position opposite the first petal. Again, give it a good pinch. Because this paste is so soft, it will actually allow you to press one piece into another. You don't need glue for this, which is really a good thing. So I'm now going to roll the excess paste away. There we are, and that's your basic rose. So this piece can just be trimmed off. Whoops. You have to throw it on the floor, that's a prerequisite. So there we have the finished rose. And you can add leaves, you can add extra petals if you want to, just to increase the size of the flower. So once you've practiced with a larger flower, then you can refine everything downwards and you can take a small piece of paste. Really tiny. Now the shrinkage rate on cold porcelain paste is approximately 17%. So whatever you're going to make, and there's the initial centre to the rose again, whatever you're going to make is going to actually dry to a slightly smaller size. So if you want to work with very, very tiny cutters, we do have a range of micro cutters which will do very, very tiny flowers, something like 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so there's your little shape again. And just curl that back. Whenever you give something a little twist or a curl, it makes it more realistic. Just roll the paste again. And then we'll take another small piece. Flatten that. And then we'll come back again to do the opposite side. You can make these for fun. Just make them in loads and loads of different colours, and then you have them ready to use whenever you need them. There we are. That's done. So leave that now to dry. You'll find it'll dry to a nice hard consistency. The paste doesn't take very long to dry out. You'll find that probably in about 30 minutes this piece will be completely dried through. The larger the piece, the longer it takes to dry out. But at the end of the day, you have a product there which is nice to look at and so simple to make.